Welcome to the Talkin Vols Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. FanDuel.com this week put out the over-under total for 2023 at 8.5 wins for Josh Heupel and this football team as they head into year three. And I know the expectations, the hype, the excitement is pretty high for the Tennessee fan base. So what do you think of that 8.5 over-under total? I want to get into it and talk about it. J.D. Pickell of On3.com just got into it, gave his opinion. I think it's worth listening to. So I think we're going to take a look at what J.D. Pickell had to say. But as always, you guys know what to do. Smash that thumbs up just below the video. It's quick, free, easy. It helps the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you are new to the Talkin Vols Network, welcome. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. I'm getting ready to go live here in just a couple hours. 6:30 p.m. Eastern time every single Sunday night. Going to hang out, talk some Tennessee football, maybe a little basketball, whatever you guys want to get into. Always a good time. Come check it out. But I saw this video from J.D. Pickell commenting on Tennessee, the 8.5 over-under. What do you guys think? Because, you know, when we talk about it, we go back to last year, and some of you guys out there thinking that Tennessee was going to go win 10, 11 games. Others, you know, I was at 8. I thought 8 wins would have been a solid season for year two with Josh Heupel taking over this Tennessee football team. But now, you know, the goalposts kind of shift, right? You go out, you beat Florida, you beat Alabama, you're competitive, you win 11 games, you go take care of Clemson in the Orange Bowl. The expectations kind of shift. When Josh Heupel was hired at Tennessee, we talked about, you know, 5, 6, 7 years, going to take forever to flip this roster. But enter the transfer portal, enter the NIL era, everything kind of changes. And now Josh Heupel is so far ahead of schedule. So I want to hear from you guys. Hit that comment section. Let me know what your expectations are. This video is a little long, so we'll stick around and hear what J.D. Pickell has to say. Let's take a listen.
To be fair, you lose quite a bit. Jalin Hyatt. A lot of people would say the best receiver in college football last year. Extremely productive. Double-digit touchdowns. Okay, he's gone. Lose your offensive coordinator. I understand it's Josh Heupel's offense, but you still lose the man who was your OC. Okay, that's gone. Hendon Hooker, your quarterback, he's gone. So while you might think this number is low, when you look at what Tennessee lost, it's hard to be enormously upset with that 8.5 figure.
Can I validate that? Jalin Hyatt gone. What about Dante Thornton? Am I expecting too much from Dante Thornton in this offense? Some of you guys saying that I'm crazy, that it's not even going to be Thornton out there. It's going to be Ramel Keaton starting on the opposite side of Brew McCoy. But I think Josh Heupel, we saw what he did with Cedric Tillman. We saw what he did with Javonte Payton. We saw what he's done with Jalin Hyatt. I think Josh Heupel is always going to find success at the wide receiver position. I'm not worried about Jalin Hyatt. Now, let's talk about Alex Golesh off to South Florida. That's good for Tennessee. Let's start the Josh Heupel coaching tree. Some of you guys brought up some good points after the Orange Bowl game. You know, once Alex Golesh was gone, the offense looked a little different. Now, was that because you were playing against a pretty dang good Clemson defense with your backup quarterback? Or was it because Alex Golesh was not calling the plays? Now, Josh Heupel called the plays in the Orange Bowl game. Who's going to be calling the plays in 2023? Is it going to be Heupel? Is it going to be Coach Halsley? Is it going to kind of be, you know, combined effort there? But then the big key, you're losing Hendon Hooker. Can Joe Milton? I think this entire season relies on whether or not Joe Milton can get it done. I think he can. I think we've seen him do it. You know, the progression that he's made just since the time that he's been at Tennessee, I have confidence in Joe Milton going into this next season. I have confidence. It's a money year. Joe Milton trying to work his way to the NFL. Could possibly be. Guys, Joe Milton could possibly be a first-round NFL draft pick. We look at the way they're talking about AR. Why not Joe Milton? Go out, get it done. You're going to have to win more than 8.5 games. Are you taking the under? Are you taking the over? Let's hear more from J.D. Pickell on whether or not Tennessee is over or under that 8.5 mark.
Now, here's what I would say. Whatever you think about this win total, it all hinges on what you think about Josh Heupel's process and the players and their ability to execute that process to the level they did a season ago. Okay, got more thoughts on that. Make sure you're subscribed. A lot of people say just subscribe to our channel, channel.
Speaking of,
huge boost. Also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter.
Talking about it. Make sure you guys do subscribe. Smash that thumbs up. It does help the channel. J.D. Pickell's not wrong. Hit that thumbs up. I would appreciate it.
just helps us again. It all comes down to how much do you trust Josh Heupel's process that he has in place and the personnel that is going to step in to replace the production that was there. So that means instead of Hendon Hooker, you got Joe Milton. Instead of Jalen Hyatt, you got Squirrel White. And to me, Joe Milton has all of the ability. We'll start there. We'll start with Joe Milton has all the ability to execute this process. To me, it's a matter of which kind of Joe Milton do we get. Is it the Joe Milton from Michigan, who everyone talked about having a huge arm and being able to throw the ball a quarter mile but wasn't accurate? Or is it the Joe Milton we saw in the Orange Bowl? Now, I tend to believe we're going to see more of the Joe Milton we saw in the Orange Bowl because this offense is going to play to his skill set. Joe, we're going to call some quarterback runs for you. We're going to let you get out in space and use that big frame and run over dudes. Not all the time, slide now and then, but we're going to let you run over some people and pick up yards with your legs. But most importantly, we're not asking to be Tom Brady and fit it in between the window, in front of the corner, and over the safety. Like it's not going to be that kind of a scheme. It never has been. They never asked you to be pinpoint accurate. What you do need to do, though, is when those safeties creep up, and this is a tale as old as time on this program. For those of you who tuned in, I'm big on this concept. Safeties creep up, real estate on the back end, we got to cash in.
Obviously, that was the problem with Joe Milton a year ago. No, when he first took over as the starting quarterback, he couldn't hit that deep throw. But I think something's interesting here that JD Piquel's talking about, and it's something that we've done over and over and over on this channel, and that is say, which Joe Milton are we going to get? Are we going to get the Joe Milton of old, or are we going to get this new Joe Milton? The most important thing to me, and there's so many layers, recruiting, Jimmys and Joes, X's and O's, but one of the most important things that we have been lacking at Tennessee for a long time, and we've got it with this coaching staff, is player development. And you see players progress and players get better. So why should we expect the Joe Milton of old? Why should we expect the Joe Milton from Michigan when he has come to Tennessee? He has learned under Josh Heupel. He's sat behind Hendon Hooker. He's gotten better. The Vol Club Confidential, the interview with Austin Price, the conversation he had about learning where to throw the ball, when to be there, the development of a relationship with his wide receivers, the timing. Joe Milton shows a lot of maturity. Why would we expect the Joe Milton of old? Why would we not expect the Joe Milton we saw against Vanderbilt, against Clemson, in mop-up duty all year long? That's the Joe Milton we should look for. It's like talking about culture and Josh Heupel. At what point do we just understand Josh Heupel is going to have a good culture around his football team?
When the pitcher throws us something hanging over the plate, low and slow, we got to just knock that thing out of the park, okay? Joe Milton, for my money, what I saw in the Orange Bowl and this Josh Heupel offense, he can do that for you. Can he do it consistently? I tend to say yes. And I have the Tennessee quarterback room as my number one quarterback room in the SEC right now, in large part because of how I feel about Joe Milton. And then going back to Squirrel White, you know how I feel about him too. On the catapult technology that these players wear during practice, tracking their output and tracking their speed. Squirrel White was clocked at 23 miles an hour. That's fast, y'all. I said it before, that's speeding in some neighborhoods, most neighborhoods, I would imagine. Squirrel White can get it done for you. You also have Brew McCoy. You have no shortage of weapons within this offense to execute to the level you did a season ago. All right? So the other part of that I would say then, if you have...
Going back to what I said earlier, I think you're always going to have, numbers put up by these wide receivers. He mentioned Squirrel White. He mentions Brew McCoy. Doesn't even mention Dante Thornton. And that's the guy that I think is going to step up and surprise some people, not only this spring, but going into the fall. So it's funny that he mentions two completely different wide receivers. The production is going to be there. Can Joe Milton get him the ball?
Have it on offense. As it calibrates, as it meshes early in the year, does your defense, and I've said this before as well, we're beating a dead horse here, is your defense able to just be ever so slightly better on the back end? They were good in that front, I say front seven. It wasn't always a front seven, but that linebacker defensive line area, are you solid there like you were a season ago? And can your secondary keep a lid on things? You don't got to be airtight, but can you keep us from getting beat deep and having the explosive plays be a factor for us? They did it at times last year. Kentucky, Clemson. There were also times where they looked very lackluster. South Carolina. Let's be real here. Let's call a spade a spade. That's what cost you a national, maybe a chance at a national title, but a college football playoff appearance at the very least, okay? So a little bit better on defense. got the pieces on offense. Here's where I fall into 8.5 wins.
Before he gets into that, we're talking about the defense. We're talking about a defense that I've kind of beat this into the ground the last week or two. Not that bad nationally in scoring defense. They just need to get, and he said it, just a little bit better there on the back end. Yeah, you're losing BY. You're losing Jeremy Banks. But I think the front seven is going to be just fine, if not better than they were a year ago. Some of those young guys need to come along. Elijah Herring needs to come along at linebacker. Some of those young guys on the defensive end, they need to push Tyler Barron out. They need to push Roman Harrison out. They need to push those guys, make those guys nervous. And we need to see guys like Joshua Josephs, Tyree West, James Pierce. We need to see those guys pushing. I want to hear their names this spring when we're talking about players to watch and keep an eye on. Can the secondary get a little bit better? Yes, they were inconsistent. You're adding Gabe Jeudy-Lally. Does that help? Does the fact that how many of you guys think that so many of the secondary missing spring last year hurt this football team and their consistency? Nobody was really locked down to a position. We talk about versatility, and that can be good, but can versatility also be bad? You know, the old saying, jack of all trades, master of none. Well, I can play the star, I can play safety, I can play corner, but I'm not really good at any of them. I'm just efficient. I'm decent. They need to lock down those positions. And again, we talk about making people uncomfortable. Somebody needs to make Warren Burrell uncomfortable. They need to make him uncomfortable where he doesn't feel secure in that starting position. Guys, I told you this video was going to go a little bit longer. I want to hear all the comments from JD Pickell, so we're going to listen to a little bit more before we wrap this thing up. Don't forget to join me tonight live, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Maybe we'll get into this and talk about it just a little bit more.
I would take today, at least, before we get into the season, and we know what we have at Tennessee, I'd have a hard time not taking the over there.
There we go.
Let's take a look at the schedule.
Tell them, JD.
Where are the 4 losses?
Before he says it, I'm going to look at the schedule right there on the screen, and I'm going to go down his road. Where are the 4 losses? Alabama and Georgia. Those are 2 games that you can no doubt you can lose those football games. Can they beat Alabama again? 100%. 100%. Can they beat Georgia? I'm excited to bring Georgia to Neyland Stadium. The environment, the hostility, it's going to be an electric atmosphere. So when we're talking about over or under, if you're going to lose 4 games and take the under, who are the other 2 coming from? South Carolina, that game is circled on my calendar, and I think every single one of you probably have the same as well. Florida, is that the other one? I mean, when you sit down and you look at the schedule, and yeah, it's way too early predictions. It's way too early to be talking about this, but that's the beauty of it. We talk about college football every single day on this channel. If I had to bet right now, I'm taking the over, guys. I'm taking the over. I'm going 9. And maybe it's way too early. Let's see what JD Pickell says.
I mean, legitimately, I know Georgia's probably going to be a game that you're not favored in. You would imagine the Alabama game you're not favored in. Again, we'll see what happens as we get closer to those games. But just today, you would imagine those are the 2 you're not favored in. Okay, cool. So let's just say, worst case scenario, you drop both those games. Are you losing to Florida? Are you losing to South Carolina? A&M? I mean, I get it. You got to go to the swamp to play Florida, but I mean, come on now. Are we really in good faith saying that Tennessee is going to drop Georgia, Bama, and then 2 other games on this schedule?
I think we got to be careful with Florida. We have to be careful with arrogance that all of a sudden we own and dominate Florida. I know things don't look good there, and I love it. I'm here for it. But you are going on the road. You're going on the road to play Florida. You got to keep that in mind. It's time to start a few streaks of our own, boys.
Well, y'all, I just don't see it. I don't see it. So that's kind of what we're doing right now is doing the whole Talkin season thing as these win totals come out. And this is how FanDuel makes their money off people like me saying, hey, free money, they're giving it away on FanDuel. All right, so I'll be real with y'all. I've been a sucker more than once in that regard. But when I look at the schedule, when I look at what Josh Heupel has in place, and when I look at the personnel on this roster, 8.5 wins, I'm taking the over.
There you heard it. JD Pickell taking the over. What say you? Hit the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Getting geared up for the NCAA stream tonight. I saw that video. I gave it a listen. I said, I want to talk about this. I want to jump on and talk to the guys and see what you think. Taking the over or the under. Why? A lot to unpack there. Losing Alex Golish, losing Hendon Hooker, losing Jalen Hyatt. Can the defense be good enough? Can they take a step in the secondary? A lot to unpack. You guys hit the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. As always, smash that thumbs up on the way out the door. Don't forget, tonight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. You guys know where the merch is at. All the links are in the description. We're over 15 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this one up. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope to catch you guys here in just a couple hours. This is the Talkin' Vols Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.